Okay, class, today is the rest of 5.5, which is the half-angle formula and the product to sum and sum to product rules. The first problem is find sine of 7 pi over 8. Okay, 7 pi over 8 is not on the unit circle, but I know that it's half of an angle that is on the unit circle. So I know that 7 pi over 8 is 1/2 of 7 pi over 4. So we know that 7 pi over 4 is on the unit circle, so it's going to be a unit circle problem. And since this is a half angle, we're going to use the half angle formulas. And since it's sine, we are going to use the sine one. Okay, so before we do this plus or minus for all of these formulas for the half angles, you need to pick either plus or minus. So you need to pick either plus or minus, and that depends on what the answers should be for the angle we want to look at. So we're interested in angle 7 pi over 8. So if we look at angle 7 pi over 8, that's splitting pi into 7 pieces. And 7 pi over 8 is in quadrant 2, and we know that sine of 7 pi over 8 should be a positive number. Okay, because remember, if we're wanting to find sine of 7 pi over 8, 7 pi over 8 is in quadrant 2, and sine is the y coordinate. And since we went up, we know we're going to pick the positive and not the negative. Okay, so in order to do this, we're going to have to know for the half angles what u is and what u over 2 is. U over 2 is the half angle, so this is u over 2. Okay, so this is always going to be your u over 2. And so you have to figure out is 1/2 of 7 pi over 4. So this is my angle u, which is going to go inside there. Okay, so the number on the unit circle is going to be your u. The number we're trying to find the sine of, or cosine in another problem, would be your u over 2. So sine of 7 pi over 8 equals positive. Remember, we're picking the positive. Square root of 1 minus our angle u, which is 7 pi over 4. So essentially you would double this to get 7 pi over 4. And we're going to divide that by 2. Oops, not minus 7 pi over 4. It's 1 minus cosine of 7 pi over 4. So the formula says 1 minus cosine of your u, so cosine of 7 pi over 4 divided by 2. So we're going to find cosine of 7 pi over 4 next. Cosine of 7 pi over 4. We look for 7 pi over 4 on the unit circle. Cosine is the x coordinate, so it's root 2 over 2. So this is the square root of 1 minus square root 2 over 2 all over 2. And we're just going to simplify this. I'm going to have a common denominator in the numerator, so I'm going to replace 1 with 2 over 2. So it's the square root of 2 minus root 2 all over 2 all over 2. So I had my numerator, which gave me 2 minus root 2 over 2. And I'm going to take my numerator, I'm going to divide it by 2 over 1, which is the square root of 2 minus root 2 all over 2 times 2 over 1, which becomes 1/2, which is the square root of 2 minus square root 2 all over the square root of 4. Multiply the bottoms, you get 4. Separate the square root to the top and to the bottom because I can take the square root of 4. So this is 2 minus root 2 all over 2. And even though you have a square root of a square root, that's still a perfectly good number. Remember, in the end, we picked the plus. Okay, let's move on to problem number 2. Okay, so here we're going to find cosine of u over 2, so we are going to need to know the half angle formula for that, and that is plus or minus the square root of 1 plus cosine of u all over 2. Okay, so we need to find cosine of u over 2, given cotangent of u, this should say equals 7. Okay, so the given is that cotangent of u equals 7. And we know that u is between pi and 3 pi over 2. Now remember, we have to pick either plus or minus based on where u over 2 is. And we always pick this based on where u over 2 is. We want to find cosine of u over 2. So if I take where u is, which says it's between pi and 3 pi over 2, I can find where pi over 2 is by dividing everything by 2. Okay, so when I divide everything by 2, or multiply it by 1/2 in the last case, u over 2 is between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 4. Well, here's pi over 2, and here's 3 pi over 4. So my u over 2 is somewhere in this region here. And since it's cosine of u over 2, cosine of u over 2 in this region, I went in quadrant 2 left, so I know I'm going to have to pick the negative. So again, we have cosine of u over 2 is, so we need to know where u over 2. So we were given where u was, not u over 2. So I divided everything by 1/2 and found out that u over 2 is between pi over 2 and 3 pi over 4, which is in quadrant 2, and I went left. Cosine is the x coordinate. So I'm picking the negative. Okay, so I know that cotangent of u is 7, and my u, so I'm going to draw my triangle u, which is between pi and 3 pi over 2. Okay, so it's over here. This is my angle u over here, and cotangent is 7. And cotangent, remember, using SOHCAHTOA, tangent is opposite over adjacent, so my cotangent of u is adjacent over opposite. So cotangent is 7, or 7 over 1, so it's adjacent over opposite. And since we're in quadrant 3, we went left 7 and down 7, and the ratio of -7 over -1 is still a positive 7. So we're okay. So we gave our given, so we know we're here. And we are going to have to eventually find cosine of this angle u, so we're going to have to know the hypotenuse. So in order to find the hypotenuse, use Pythagorean theorem. So 49 plus 1 is 50. So this is square root of 50, which is 25 times 2. So it's 5 root 2. Okay, so now we're ready to get going. So this equals the negative square root of 1 plus cosine of u. So here's my angle u. I'm going to find cosine, which is adjacent over hypotenuse. So negative 7 over 5 root 2. And all that over 2. And remember, this whole thing is under the square root. And so that needs to be very clear. So I'm just going to go ahead and simplify. So this is negative. I'm going to rationalize this first piece. I'm going to multiply it by root 2 over root 2. So I have 1 minus 7 root 2 over root 2 times root 2 gives you 2 times 5 is 10 all over 2. So I'm going to rewrite 1 as 10 over 10 so that I have a common denominator. So this is negative the square root of 10 minus 7 root 2 all over 10 all over 2. And remember, we have a numerator and a denominator, so I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal. So 10 minus 7 root 2 all over 10 times, well, 2 over 1 becomes 1 over 2. So this is negative the square root of 10 minus 7 root 2 all over 20. And we can separate this with the numerator and the denominator. So this is negative square root of 10 minus 7 root 2 all over square root of 20. So negative square root of 10 minus 7 root 2 root 20 is 2 root 5, because remember 20 is root 4 times root 5. So I need to rationalize this a bit. So it's negative square root of 10 minus 7 root 2 times root 5, all over if I multiply the top and the bottom by root 5. Root 5 times root 5 becomes 5 times 2 is 10. And remember, when you have two things multiplied, that can be all 1 underneath. 10 minus 7 root 2 times 5. Because I'm bringing it all under 1 square root, all over 10. And you can distribute this 5 minus the square root of 50 minus 35 root 2 all over 10. Okay, that was a heck of a lot of algebra, and a little bit of trig up front. Point being, you need to have really good algebra skills for this. Okay, let's move on to the next problem. Okay, so we're going to use the sum to product formulas, which I have in the sheet, to write this as a product. So we have a sum, we want to write it as a product, so we see the sum of two sines, we strictly just plug it in there, where my first angle is my u and my second angle, that whole thing, is my v. Just plug it in. Okay, so this is going to be 2 times the sine of the sum of the two angles divided by 2. So add up the two angles. 8x divided by 2 is 4x, times the cosine of, now subtract the 2. So it's x minus 7x divided by 2. So x minus 7x is minus 6x divided by 2 is minus 3x. And I have a negative, which means that we are going to use the even odd, so the even odd. So when you look at the even odd on your sheet, cosine of the minus the angle is the same thing as the cosine of the angle. Cosine of minus u is cosine of u, which tells me that this bit is just cosine of 3x. Okay, so that's your even odd. And then I have 2 times the sine of 4x. So this is a product. Okay, we are multiplying here. So we went from a sum to a product, and that's what the problem asked us to do. So we are done. Okay, so we're going to find all solutions on the unit circle. So you should have your unit circle handy if you don't know it well. And we are going to solve this. So I have a difference, and if I write the difference as a product using the sum to product formula, so the bottom one, then I have two numbers multiplied together equaling 0, so I can use the zero product property. So I'm going to plug it in with my u and my v. So this equals, okay, so it's negative 2 sine. So I'm going to add the two angles and divide by 2. So 2x plus 6x is 8x divided by 2 is 4x times the sine of, now I'm going to subtract, 2x minus 6x is minus 4x divided by 2 is minus 2x equals 0. And so now I can divide both sides by this negative 2, and it cancels. So I have sine of 4x times the sine of minus 2x equals 0. And now I can, since two things are multiplied together equals 0, I can just set each equal to 0. So sine of 4x equals 0, and the sine of minus 2x equals 0. Now the sine of minus 2x equals 0, you should think that you need to use the even and odd. So using even and odd, the sine of minus u is minus the sine of u. So applying that here, this is the negative sine of 2x equals 0. Divide both sides by negative 1, sine of 2x equals 0. Okay, so I need to know the sine of what angle, in this case sine of 2x equals 0. So if you have your unit circle in front of you, your angle, the sine of what angle gives you 0, and sine is the y-coordinate. So the y-coordinate is 0 over here at 0, 2 pi, and also at pi. And we want the interval between 0 and 2 pi, including those. So 2x is 0 and pi, or my x is 0 and pi over 2. And remember, since the angle is 2x, we are going to double the amount of times we go around. So it's 0, pi, 2 pi, 3 pi. And we're going to take 4 pi just in case. So divide all those by 2. and I get pi, 3 pi over 2, and 2 pi